So I'm in the process of working on this Mexican fender body today, and I thought I'd show you what I'm up to. What I have is a set of bridge holes that fit I guess an import style body, and I have uh, a US sized or vintage spec bridge that the holes just don't line up. If you look closely here, you can tell that in the center, where these two center holes are lined up pretty close, the outside holes are quite a bit further apart. So they're actually kind of way off. So what I need to do in order to essentially move these holes, I fill those holes with a dowel rod. The dowel rod that I've been using is a 3/16 inch poplar dowel rod. If I were to just grab a 3/16 inch drill bit, and if I were to put my dowel rod into that hole, you can see it's got a little bit of room to walk in that hole, and that's usually okay. But I just wanted to see if I could get a little bit tighter fit. I have a set of numbered drill bits, basically fractional sizes of an inch, that are in between a lot of the standard sizes that you'll see. Next to this, I think I've drilled a number 16 drill bit hole here and a number 17 drill bit hole here. A 16 drill bit is 0.177 and a 17 drill bit is 0.173 of an inch. I measured the dowel rod to be right in between a 16 and a 17. You can see if I use the hole for the 16, it fits in there, no issue. And the space around the dowel rod is much smaller. I don't want the fit to be too tight. I don't want to run the risk of cracking such a sensitive area of the guitar. What you'll need to do next is essentially drill out each one of these holes with the drill bit and stop at your tape line on the drill bit. The center two holes are actually close enough for me to use on this vintage bridge, because what I'll do is I'll take my bridge and I'll bolt it down in those two holes while I'm marking where I'm going to drill for the other four, and that puts those holes exactly where they need to be. I'll mark off a line on my dowel rod that's probably a 1/16 or an 1/18 of an inch longer than it needs to be. Gives me a little bit of room so I can cut off the excess on the body when I'm done. I usually just take a razor blade and I will just roll the dowel rod while I'm pushing down on that line, and essentially it'll create a groove, and then I'll just snap the dowel rod off and sand the edges. This is the glue that I like to use. It's called the Titebond Ultimate. I will lay some glue out on this paper. I will roll this dowel through the glue and get it covered on all sides, and I'll also get some glue on the end of a toothpick and put it into the hole, smear it around the hole inside the body. Get in there and coat the inside of that hole. I just want glue on all edges of the dowel, so I'll roll that through my Titebond, and that's ready to install. This gets it started, and then I have a little brass hammer that I will use to drive it home. Okay, so I hammered it home, and it's almost flush with the body. I did end up putting a little piece of masking tape over it as I hammered it the last 1/16 of an inch or so. Just helps prevent some scratches, even though this thing already has some. This is a little bit of a trick that I learned when I'm filling finish holes in the body. But what I'll do is I'll take a razor blade and I'll wrap a little piece of cellophane tape around both edges, and it gives me a nice surface that glides on top of the wood, but it will catch anything that's higher. All right, so let's talk a little bit about super glue. Really, I'm just talking about sealing the end grain of the wood. So let's go ahead and put a couple drops on these holes here. I've got my razor blade with the tape wrapped around both ends, and it just gives me a nice little surface that can glide. I just will basically go in and scrape the tops off of these. They've all been leveled and scraped. You can see a little bit of residue in some of these areas, and some of that is actually just like a haze in the finish. But they're all completely level now, and I'll go ahead and polish the finish back out. All that will be covered by the new bridge, and it will be very strong because it's all nice hardwood dowels. You're more or less done at this point and ready to re-drill for a new bridge. I've also been working on this Charvel body. This is a project where I'm removing a Bendmaster tremolo and installing a Floyd Rose, and I have to move the posts because they're too close together. And so I literally just did the same thing I did on the Strat body, just drilled these holes out to a 1/2 inch, installed a 1/2 inch dowel rod and glued it, and then I've been cutting them flush. And you can see in the far post there where I'm not quite flush yet, but still working on that. But the process is exactly the same in both guitars. This hole is just larger. This process can be used in multiple different situations. You can even use it to, fix a loose strap button or things like that. But hopefully that helps you guys out and makes your projects go a little bit smoother.